I'm going to move on to Sheila. And, Sheila is at 7,500 for the month, mostly personal premium. She's leading from the front. She's always in the field, always getting big clients, good clients, quality clients. And, people always wonder why is it that she gets much larger clients than the average Primerica policy, right? Company-wide, the average Primerica policy is $80 a month, which is $1,000 a premium per year, right? So how is it that whenever Sheila's posting, she's getting double the average? She's getting 160, 200, 250 and beyond. The reason why is because a lot of her clients have been price conditioned for life insurance to pay $400 or $500 a month, right? Because when you buy cash value policies, in order to even get a decent amount of coverage, you have to significantly overpay. To get an adequate amount of coverage, I mean, it's out of this world what you would have to pay, $800 a month, $1,000 a month. But just to get a normal amount of coverage, like $250, $300, people are paying $300, $400, $500 a month. So they've been price conditioned to pay for a lot of insurance. And she comes in there and she shows them why it's better to buy term, why it's better to invest the difference. And when someone is already paying, $300, $400, $500 a month as a family, it's not that big of a deal for them to, continue paying only $200. It's actually unbelievable for them. They're getting more coverage for lower cost. So what I want to talk to you, Sheila, about today, and we're just going to have a conversation. Mm-hmm. The Filipino community is big on education. They're big on finances. They're professionals. It's usually husband and wife both working. They're both professionals. And in this area, a lot of them are, it's a multiple six-figure income family. So they're doing very well. So these are smart people, but the cash value agents continue to have this approach with clients that get even smart people to make this financial mistake when it comes to life insurance. I mean, what are they telling these smart people to get them to buy something that, we know is so detrimental? What are the selling points that cash value agents are giving their clients?
So the first thing they always say is, this is something permanent, right? It lasts forever. All right. That is one of the main things, because they always tell clients that if you get term, you're wasting your money. All right. So anytime you hear that, nobody wants to waste their money, right? But they never disclose the fact that if you get term, it's a lot cheaper, right? It's like Samir said, if you get any kind of cash value, it's anywhere between 3 to 10 times more expensive than the term policies. All right. So now they're understanding, they're thinking it's permanent. Number two, they're thinking it's an investment. And to make it even better, to make it sound even better, they say it's actually an investment that is tax-free. Everybody hates paying taxes, right? So those two things are winners for them, right? They also tell the clients that, you can trust me, I'm your friend. And, I've said this before in other trainings where, most of these policies are actually sold to people they already trusted, right? Oh, I'm not going to screw you over, right? And they also tell people, oh, you can borrow money from these policies. So, anytime you can borrow money from any kind of account you have that they think it's, there's no taxable consequences, that's a big deal for them, right? And then they're encouraged to buy them because I think what happens is the average person does not know anything about investments. So if they think they're getting, an investment and insurance, they're thinking they're getting the insurance for free. Okay. So those are the selling points that I hear time after time after time with clients.
Great. So what are the most destructive aspects of a cash value policy in your opinion?
So in my opinion, the disadvantage number one is especially in IULs, right? in which is the most popular, by the way, in our community.
What is an IUL for people who
So-
don't?
Okay, so an IUL is an Index Universal Life Policy. It's also called a flexible premium policy. Okay, and what happens with these policies is they're at about 3 to 6 times more expensive than a term. Okay, so most people that I talk to cannot afford the sufficient amount of death benefit. Okay, what they don't understand the logistics of how the cost of insurance actually goes up on a yearly basis. And there's actually in the policies, there's the cost of insurance table, and it's usually hidden in the middle or towards the back of the policy. So these, you know, these people that get their policies that never read them until I come, right? They don't even see that. It's never explained to them well, you know, very well. There's enormous fees associated with these. Okay, there's like in IULs, what I've noticed is there's like a premium expense charge, there's a monthly policy fee, and there's you know, there's so many fees, and usually that fee alone, all right, the fees alone could probably get the policy for a term with a sufficient amount of death benefit. Okay, and what other people don't understand is, you know, there's surrender charges too. And if you look at the surrender charges on an Index Universal Life policy, it's written like in dollars and cents, but it's very, very sophisticated, because what they don't tell people is the dollar and cent value of the surrender charge is multiple depending on each unit, and each unit is $1,000. So they're thinking maybe the you know, like they're thinking that if the surrender charge is like $20.36, but they don't understand if you multiply that, let's say they had a $500,000 death benefit, you multiply that by 20 something, that's over $10,000 of a surrender charge. Okay, what does a surrender charge mean? It means that if they find out, you know, the clients find out how bad these policies are, right, and they have some kind of accumulated value on the policy, they're going to be imposed a surrender charge. And these surrender charges last anywhere between 10 to 20 years. Okay. And like I said, if they find out that accumulated value has the surrender charge, they will minus the surrender charge from the accumulated value. So most of the times the client gets barely anything or nothing at all. Okay. So those are the disadvantages of having these. And like I said, because they're so expensive, they are getting an insufficient amount of death benefit. And I guess the last thing I want to say about that too is that if you look at the policies, it usually, especially with certain policies that I've seen, it will say the death benefit, and then it'll say to 121 years. So again, these people think that they're insured till their age 121, right? But the way it's worded is like that. But if you look up and you look on the top of the policy, it'll say payable to 121, meaning it could be paid up to age 121, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the premium is going to stay the same. All right. So most of these policies have only a guarantee no lapse of 20 years. Okay. And people are not aware of that. And that's why I always tell people, you got to learn how to read policies, because, you know, if you are educated enough to know how to read policies, you'll destroy every single one of them.
Right. And I always say that we know how to read policies even better than the agents that sell them do. We understand them better. And Sheila brings up a good point that I think that, you know, and I used to say this back in the day when I wanted to corner a cash value agent, because they would talk about all these benefits, and I would say, but what the client is giving up in exchange for these benefits is they're giving up coverage. And that's what Sheila's talking about, is that regardless of all the perceived fake benefits that they portray these policies to have, at the end of the day, if a middle income client can only spend $250 a month, which is still a lot, $250 a month on a policy, within your policy, they can only get what, 150,000 of coverage. So for all these benefits, you are severely underinsuring people. And that defeats the purpose of what life insurance is. Life insurance is, when I die, I want to replace my lifestyle. You know, I want to replace myself financially for my family, and your policy is not doing that. And it's so funny because New York Life has this commercial. It's a long time ago, but I'm sure it's one of their catchphrases. They say, life insurance, the most selfless act. Well, if it's so selfless, why are we trying to give all the benefits to the person that's living? They sell it for the living benefit. They sell it as you can get your money back. They're selling it as you can accumulate money and use it to buy a car. You can use it in terms of emergency. Well, now we've gotten away from the number one benefit, which is if I die, it's for my freaking kids. So everyone says it's selfless. Everyone says they're doing it for their family, but then they're buying the policy that benefits them. Term is pure insurance because it does what it's supposed to do. It gives the max coverage for the lowest cost so you can get as much money as possible to protect your families, right? And as you can see, I get passionate about it. She gets passionate about it because it doesn't make sense, right? And you have to, their agents are passionate too. We have to match passion with passion. We have to match intensity with intensity. We have to match competence with competence, right? That's the war that we're in with these people. And that's the mindset that they have as well. So lastly, I got to settle down for a second. Sheila, what is your, a recent client example that you have had with cash value, probably this week, I'm sure, because you had a good week or in the last 10 days or whatever, what was the scenario in which you replaced the policy?
Can you make me the host, Samir?
Yeah.
So I can share my screen?
Yeah.
Right. So the funny thing is you did mention that the living benefits is another thing they love to say. You don't have to die, okay, to use the money. All right. It's pretty compelling, but what people don't, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah,
yes?
We can see.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate because that's what I tell them, right? Don't you buy life insurance so in case something happens to you, you'll leave money for your family, right? And I always tell people that it's bad enough when you lose a loved one. It's a lot worse when you don't have the money that you need for the family, what the family needs. So this is one of the examples that basically he just got approved last night. Okay. And if you look here, can you see it? So the death benefit here is only $100,000. All right. They owe over $300,000 on their home. And, we already established that is not enough. Okay. So he pays, if you see here, it says premium paid plan premium is $200 a month right here. Okay. And for some reason, I can't make it any bigger, so $200 a month, and it's been enforced since 2016. All right. So when I actually looked at his policy, it was only guaranteed for less than 15 years, okay, to be enforced. All right. Now, imagine you've been paying $200 a month for over 5 years. That's over $10,000, okay? Look at the accumulated value, right? It says $4,087. So you've already lost like $6,000, right? But you see how there's a surrender value only of $1,292? It means to say that this is the cash value he is entitled to, even though the accumulated value is $4,000. All right, because they do impose a surrender charge. Okay, so for what happened with this, what happened is I basically evaluated for them, and 5 years later, I was able to get him coverage for at least $150,000. And paying $172 a month, but at least we increased the death benefit by $50,000. Okay. And I told him whatever the cash value, you'll just get to keep that. And he can start a Roth IRA with that. Now, look at the interest.
How long was the term for, Sheila?
For him, it's 20 years. So Great. Now moving forward, right? Moving forward, he has at least an extra 10 years, right? And he has an additional $50,000 of coverage. Now, the interest right here, you see, it says only $118. That's all it's made. So the surrender charges and the charges that they do for the policy alone, does not even cover the interest that it made. And it actually says available for loan is only $940. Okay, even though he's put in 10 grand, right? And I did tell him that if this was 5 years ago, I know right now it's still close to what you're paying, all right? But 5 years ago, the 170 would probably be like 110 or something like that. Okay, this is just one example. Do you want me to show you another one?
No, that's good.
Okay. And this is very common, okay? This is very, very common in our community. And he actually did think that he was gonna get the 100,000 later on anyways. And I said, no, what's gonna happen to your policy is you're not gonna have the cash value and your policy is gonna lapse anyways. And he was like, what? So he showed, you know, he sent me the, you know, the guaranteed part of the policy, because when you have an IUL, okay, there's always going to be a non-guaranteed portion and a guaranteed portion. And I always tell them, always look at the guaranteed portion. And he goes, you know what? He never even showed this to me, right? And this was sold by the wife's co-teacher's son, right? And this is what they've been doing. They go to these schools with, you know, with maybe 50 people listening, and then they sign them up one by one. And now I'm trying to, you know, go through that market. So
Sheila,
yes.
Sheila, if you can unshare your screen real quick. So isn't it funny how, you know, you mentioned that one of the benefits was tax deferral. Well, let's look at this real quick. This policy is known as an investment. They say it's a hybrid insurance and investment. After 5 years, based on my math of $200 a month, you've put in $12,500. Your surrender value is $1,200. Where is the, what taxes are we protecting? You have a freaking loss of $10,000.
Correct.
So people that think that tax deferral on a cash value is a great thing, well, maybe it would be if your policy was actually performing, if there was actually any gains. There's no gains to protect. These are losses. You have incurred losses.
Right.
And at least in the stock market, when you get a loss, you can write it off. You can't write off the loss of your stupid life insurance policy.
Right.
So guess what? The tax deferral never comes into play because there's never any taxable gain above and beyond what you put in.
Correct.
Unbelievable.
And I do emphasize that as well. And like, well, it's tax free. And then I go there and all you have to do is do the math. You can't, like you said, I calculate how much they paid in and how much the cash value. And it said, can the IRS tax you on losses? There's absolutely, that's why it's tax free. There is no gain. So if they think it's an investment, it truly is not.
That's right.
Thanks,
That's right. In closing, I just want to comment that, you know, one of the things that we say about cash value policies is like, maybe you got it for the insurance, maybe you got it for the investment, maybe you got it for both, but it's poor insurance because it's too expensive, and it's a poor investment because it's a poor return, right? So regardless of whether you got it, it's poor insurance and it's poor investment. Buying term, better insurance, putting the money in mutual funds, obviously superior investment. So thank you, Sheila. I know you're very, very busy. You know, this weekend you have a lot going on, clients and other stuff. So we appreciate you getting on and preparing. I'm going to transition to Ismail.